The IPCC has now concluded that some amount of climate change, unfortunately, is now basically inevitable for at least the next 5 to 15 years, well within the time frame of an investor.
Jay, Dave, thank you so much for being here with us today. This first question is for you, Jay. Talk about how you've brought private, public, and other forms of capital together for adaptation and resilience.
Lightsmith runs the first private investment fund for adaptation and climate resilience, technologies and solutions. It's a blended finance strategy, so it includes a whole range of private, public, and philanthropic investors that include the Green Climate Fund, the European Investment Bank, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the Nordic Development Fund, the German and Luxembourg governments, as well as the Rockefeller Foundation and a number of private investors as well. And so that combination of investors in a structure that enables you to actually share risk in a different way has enabled us to mobilize capital to invest in solutions for adaptation and climate resilience.
And Dave, what's needed to turn adaptation investments into bankable projects?
Thanks, Lisa. I'll pick up from Jay. You know, these projects tend to be very complex, so you need to have different sorts of capital matched to the risk returns of these projects. And I'm just going to dwell a bit on the private sector part of it because you have philanthropic, you have public sector capital, and so on. They can take a lot of risk. The private sector needs to see what is the pathway for monetization. So whether that's on revenue protection, whether that's a new revenue stream or some value to its balance sheet and asset, that's what will enable a project to get across the line.
And this question's for both of you. Where do you see the clearest opportunities to realize fair returns and societal benefits?
So what we're seeing now is investors have come to this conclusion that investments in adaptation and resilience solutions and technologies are an unavoidable opportunity. And I say that because the IPCC has now concluded that some amount of climate change, unfortunately, is now basically inevitable for at least the next 5 to 15 years, well within the time frame of an investor. So technologies and solutions that can help us manage fire risk, flood risk, storm risk, disruptions to the supply chain, disruptions to infrastructure, changes to human health, all will have increased demand and increased investment returns as a result of that. And we need that to happen. We want these solutions to be highly scalable so that we can bring them as quickly as possible to everyone who needs them, especially in developing countries, in vulnerable populations, and then to the rest of the world. Those solutions, I think, represent that kind of unavoidable opportunity for investors to actually make great growth investments.
If I think about, the ultimate projects, they need to be on the ground. Where you get the 1 + 1 = 3, right? Where public and private sector interests intersect and where you can find opportunities where, a company invests, for flood protection for its own assets, but it makes sense to put some public capital in and have those benefits beyond the fence line, right? Or where there are multifunctional solutions that serve public and private interests. So, for example, flood protection in the coast with dual-use infrastructure. You could have a toll road on it. There's a revenue stream. The private sector participates. The public sector and the broad economy gets benefits out of it. So we've got to find these spaces where they intersect, and bringing in both resources and capital from public and private sources end up giving us the benefits that we need.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.